So moving on to the last topic, and I wanted to talk about the Florida shooting. And this is something that I feel like everybody knows a little bit of something about, and is certainly aware of a lot of the different angles that people have been talking about, and the different kind of political agendas people are trying to push, and that kind of thing. Let me just open up the floor to you first of all, Trent, and just kind of get your take on the whole Florida shooter thing, just as you've seen it unfold over the last few weeks here.
Well, I haven't been following it too closely. Just the deep rumblings from the mainstream media, the distasteful call for gun control, and all the stuff that happens after a mass shooting. And of course, I deal with a lot of not necessarily law enforcement, but firearms community advocates and things like that. And they're pissed, most likely, for the most part. One guy I was talking to earlier today is not happy with the performance of the law enforcement that decided to stay outside or slavishly follow the orders they were given while people's lives were literally at stake and being lost during the incident. Yeah, it's not a very good thing. It's definitely not being handled very well by the Trump administration at all.
Well, as far as the officer that stayed outside, for what I understand, is that he was actually following orders, that he was told to stay outside, to stand down.
I thought it was 4 deputies that were following orders.
Well, however many there were, that was part of their actual commands. Now, the problem is one of the big things that's coming to be a problem is that the radio contacts and the radio broadcast that was going on between officers and whatnot, you can't find them. And from what I understand, they've actually said, "Oh, you probably will never hear them. We're not going to release them." I'm like, that's interesting, because
that's a problem.
Yeah. So in the Las Vegas shooting, there is absolutely no video footage of Stephen Paddock. Still no video footage of him going in and coming out, or just generally just bringing his bags to the hotel room. Or not. I mean, you're talking about arguably the most videotaped location on Earth, and they got nothing. Like, really? That's bullshit. There's something being hidden, and I think in this case, that's the same thing. I got sent a video a while ago about this, and that video, I watched the first 20 minutes of it or so. It was a 30-minute video, and by the time I couldn't finish it. I needed to drive home. I got home and I was going to bring it back up and finish the last 10 minutes, and it was showing a bunch of different footage and stuff that proves that the time signatures were all off, and that these people are lying. And by the time I got back to it, it was already gone. The video was gone. I can't find it anywhere. So I have no idea what the last 10 minutes held, and I hope that he at least covered the big important topics in the beginning of it.
Always a good thing to try to strive for.
Yeah, it was really weird, and this isn't the first time this has happened. We're talking about, let me see. Boy, I can't find it now. Anyway, so we've all been aware of the kid who is the son of the FBI agent. Talking about, what's his name, Ham or whatever.
Yeah, the chief spokesperson that they've been having of the students.
Yeah, I did see some information that showed that his father was actually on the 9/11 commission as well. Yeah, that's what I found was a little funny. Again, make sure, I mean, any of this stuff that we're talking about here, if you're watching this, make sure you do your own research. Don't take my word for it, because I could be totally full of shit. I'm just telling you as the information comes to me, how I get it, the most validated way I can possibly give it back, I guess.
To legally cover our asses, this is mostly conjecture and opinion. So
right.
Don't take it as fact.
So this video that I watched was talking about how there was numerous eyewitness accounts of somebody wearing full body armor, full military gear, some kind of like militaristic weapon they've never seen before. I'm hearing that from the time the Uber driver dropped this guy off to the time the shooting started was about 2 minutes. It wasn't that long. So that means that he would have had to either be in full gear in the Uber, okay, or he would have had to somehow had the stuff inside and been able to switch clothing like at breakneck record speeds by the time you get in there. And not to mention that he was actually, there was a witness that said she was walking out of the school and was talking to what's his name, Nikolas Cruz, was talking to him, and she said to him, "Wow, I'm really surprised that it wasn't you. I thought you would have been the shooter." And he looked at her like, "Huh?" Now she interpreted that after the fact as he was just playing dumb, but there's also the possibility that he really didn't know what the fuck was going on, you know, because he wasn't in full body armor. I didn't hear any reports of them finding full body armor in the school. The police officers they had a training. They went through training ahead of this for an active shooter situation, and were instructed in this scenario to stand down. Like, there's a lot of little shit in here. Like, I'm hearing reports of multiple shooters. There's just too much. It's too much stuff coming in that counteracts the main narrative, and it's just enough to give me pause and go, wait. I don't know who did it. I don't know what happened. And the problem is the mainstream narrative ain't right either. So what is right? Does this, any of this, like, you seem surprised at some of these things I'm throwing out there.
Well, yeah, that's because I haven't really been following it, nor do I put my ear to the rumor hole too much. But it's, some of it is believable, some of it is not. That's just the nature of these things. And I always like to reserve judgment and not comment too much on them, because I don't know the truth. I don't know everything. There was a recent discussion online. An individual was asking a legitimate question, which is, what does, I think it was the Fourth or Fifth Amendment do? Fifth Amendment. How does it not just benefit criminals? And he says, if you know the truth, you have a duty to inform whoever's questioning you of that. And since I have a decent study into legal things, you cannot verifiably say that you have the absolute truth. Everyone has a bias. Everyone has experienced different things. They interpret things differently. So you don't have all the truth. You can get all the factors together, and 2 and 2 will equal 6 and not 4, depending on how they're put together and how they're interpreted. It's not a cut and dried thing with every single case. It's not a cut and dried thing with every single event.
Yeah, and that's why when you're a journalist, you're supposed to go out and get multiple sources of information. You can't just take the one source and just run with it, because that, like you said, that source could be a biased source of information, and you can't look at that and go, that's the story, there it is. You just can't do that. You have to get multiple sources of information and try to piece together what happened out of all that, as far as everybody's stories do kind of intersect. That's where your truth is found.
It's called inductive reasoning. That's the method used.
I'm gonna go. Sure, that sounds about right. I'm not 100% familiar with my rationality terms and phrases and all that, but that does sound correct. So yeah, there was another thing that really caught my eye is this one blows my mind, because what it showed was the victims of the attack on camera discussing what had happened, and you see them talking about how, oh my God, this thing happened, and la, we need to stop. We need, it was a very strong, we need gun control in this country right now kind of message. Okay, right after they've been just gotten into this serious problem. Now, that would be okay. That wouldn't set off any red flags, except the problem is that video was shot, timestamped at 9:32 a.m. The attack didn't happen until 2:15 p.m. Right?
Well, that seems odd. That, and also people after getting shot technically would probably be in shock, and they would definitely not be in charge of their logical faculties.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why we're supposed to keep our mouth shut.
So the kid who is the son of the FBI agent, he was the one filming on the camera and trying to coach the girl and telling him and talk about diversity. Something about diversity. You could hear him whispering to her and feeding her lines of what she's supposed to say. It's like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? And it feels like Okay, this is me just completely just. This is what it feels like based on the information that I have that I feel like is the most valid sources of information. I feel like that maybe yes, 17 kids did die that day. That yes, there was a lot of injured people in there. Do I feel like that Nikolas Cruz did it? Not really. Not really. I don't understand what's going on behind the scenes there. I don't understand a lot of what's going on with that. But do I feel like he did it? No. Do I feel like our federal government probably did it? It's very likely. Have they done shit like this in the past? Yes. I mean, it's not beyond the scope of possibility that you go in and, you know, I don't know, burn an entire school down just to keep people shut up. You know, that they've done this before. It's been proven. They've released the documents of past atrocities. They've sat there and tried to create false flags in the past. Proven. So for this to be outside the realm of possibility, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's something that definitely needs to be thought about, or at least considered.